Welcome to WO50 Women Over 50 Embody Wisdom and Wellness.
Hello, everybody. My name is Corrine, and I'm here with my BFF, Eddi. And today, our topic is perspective shift, the power of reframing.
Yeah, it was a great discussion. We went down a lot of highways and roads and obstacles and lots of growth talk and references, right?
Yep. Talked a little bit about Tony Robbins and the course that I took, and I learned the basis of reframing from him. And then also that Eddi does reframing and doesn't even probably realize she's doing it every day in her office.
I do. I think we both do it with different people. So yeah, it's beautiful. Great conversation.
It was fun. We hope you enjoy it.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I just had to put a shirt on because it's a little chilly because it's like 70 degrees here instead of like 85.
Oh, it's chilly. It's 3 here. That's Celsius. Like that makes a big difference.
Yeah, right. He's Celsius, you
30-something.
double it and add 32. So 6 plus 32, 38 degrees. And I'm 70. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. But it was warmer than that this morning. It was like, 50 something Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting there. We're getting there. Like in May, it may rain, it may shine, it may snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. In May. That's our joke. But it's getting there. The sunshine was here, so that's good.
That's good.
It's very important.
So I guess
just got to shift our perspectives.
That's right, Eddi. And you just went right into our topic today, which is perspective shift, the power of reframing. So we wanted to talk today about what is reframing, how do you do it, why would you want to do it, and what we can talk about what it, because it probably means different to each of us. We'll talk about that. So it's like I guess the simplified version of is looking at the glass half full, but it's so much more complicated than that.
I think a lot of the language on reframing is around reframing aging. That's one of the big ones, right? Just how we look at aging and our bodies and our self-image and all that, and just what we're saying to ourselves. I mean, we had a little chat earlier. We were talking. I was like, oh, I got a couple of pounds on. I'm feeling bloated. And I'm just, and, because we're coming out of winter and just shedding stuff. And then after we chatted for a little bit, that's good. I kind of reframed it again and got a new perspective on it. And, it's, my goodness gracious, we're like over 50. Over 60 now. And the perspective keeps changing and how we're looking at our bodies. And I'm just delighted, my goodness, I'm doing a pickleball tournament tomorrow, that I can move and I can play and there's no aches in my bones. And, so yeah, I'm reframing that.
And I think what I had said to you when you were talking about feeling uncomfortable and you've had guests, you've had, Mother's Day and a lot of people over and, maybe some different foods and, you are a sensitive being, you're very sensitive and you're used to feeling being pretty impeccable with everything. And you're not used to feeling like bloated and uncomfortable and a little heavy.
Yes.
And so I had said, sometimes it's good to just lean into that discomfort instead of fighting it and being pissed off and just lean into it. Or another way of reframing it, depending on who I'm talking to. But so that was what I was drawn to say to you was just soften into feeling uncomfortable.
That's right.
Yes. But if it was somebody else, I might say, maybe that's your fuel to change your eating habits. Use that discomfort. Like for you, it's not the answer I would ever give you because you don't need any of that. But if it was somebody else that was complaining about feeling uncomfortable and bloated and heavy, I would say, you can use that as fuel to be motivating. So that's part of reframing.
And it's also too, like when there's a lot on your plate, like a lot of thoughts and a lot of things you're doing and a lot of to do, it's you get out of your routine. So sometimes that happens, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
workout, the routine that we do, and yeah. So it's just kind of reshifting that.
Yeah, and also too, sometimes people will dread something, right? They'll be like they've got somebody coming to visit a relative that they don't know very well and they're dreading that, or a trip that they have to go on with their family or something, or maybe somebody switches out their partner in pickleball, or anything at all that you might be dreading. And for me, I refuse to dread something, so I always try to shift it somehow, either shift the
Mhm.
perspective or change the situation, add something into it that's helping it, because I feel like life is way too short to dread anything.
Yeah. I think embrace it more. Just
Yeah,
embrace
figure out
something about
how
it.
to embrace it,
Yeah.
how that's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah, because if you changed up, the tennis partner or pickleball partner, that you may have one of your better games. You don't know. But you just
Mhm,
go, oh, I wonder. I wonder what is going to happen here. Because change is something, we all get a little uncomfortable with, especially as we get older, right? And reframing how we eat or how we travel or even what we use for to makeup wise or how we do our hair or it's interesting. We keep shifting and changing things, and it should be for the better, don't you think?
mhm. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's interesting, you're going in a little slightly different direction than I was thinking about for this reframing
Well, I
conversation.
know. No, we'll come back into your lane again, but that was another little kind of sideline, little sidebar that I
Yeah,
just
yeah. Yeah, it's okay. No,
jumped
no, no,
into
it's
there. Yeah.
totally fine. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, we think differently about it, and you're gonna have different conversations with your people in your office about
Mhm.
reframing, right? Probably
Mhm.
with some kids, you're really good at talking to kids about changing their eating and how to look at it. You've
Mhm.
had several stories like that, so I think you're constantly doing it, and maybe don't even realize that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, like yeah, that's a good point because I had a little guy the other day. We had a great session and then his mom sends me a text and said life is never going to be the same in our house because and it's taken me longer to shop because he's reading every package box now. I was like, "Oh boy." She goes, "Oh yeah, he wants to see how much sugar is in all these cereal boxes that they claim." And I said, "Well, first clue is the cereal box if it's got colors on the front of it, like Fruity Loops or whatever, then it's probably got a lot of sugar or Cocoa Puffs, right?" It's like, so I gave him a little heads up and he was like in awe about it. So now he's
Oh,
reframing really how he eats cereal, what his
yeah,
choices are.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
with it.
beautiful. One of my favorite stories, and when I became aware of this, is when I took the Tony Robbins coaching. It's called Robbins Madanes Coaching Program, and Tony Robbins was really the man who coined the phrase life coach. He was actually coaching like Magic Johnson, Princess Diana back in the day, um, and and he went on Larry King, and Larry King says, what is it that you do, Tony? And he goes, well, you know how every great athlete has a coach? He said, that's kind of what I am. I'm kind of like a life coach. Tony Robbins coined that phrase, and now like everybody talks about life coaching, and seems there's all this training, or people call themselves life coaches. But I took the Tony Robbins training course, and I took it like a year after they developed the training that they came up with it. So this is
Mhm.
back in 2006, I think. So we were trained. It was a I don't know. It took me probably 6 or 8 months to go through the training, and it was a lot of online watching Tony in action, because they've like filmed everything he's done for 35 years. Now it would be 45 years. Filmed every. You'd see him in front of 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 people, coaching somebody in front of 10,000 people, and he reads people unbelievable. He's just amazing to see him in action. And if anybody's interested, you can actually they do have he's on Netflix. They do have they where they filmed a workshop. So I would watch like hundreds of these videos of how he works with people, and the point is you learn these different techniques. And then I sit in front of somebody, I just have one person I need to help. But I remember this one story. He was, this woman stood up in front of, 5, 6,000 people, and they were in Australia. And she goes, I'm a gambling addict and I'm reformed now, but I lost my entire family. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now I'm trying to rebuild my life. And I have this debt that's weighing on me, and I'm drowning in debt right now. And I'm trying to claw my way out of it. But it just seems so overwhelming. That's why I came this weekend, is to try to learn how to, you know, how am I going to do it? So Tony said, well, let's just even look at your languish around you drowning in the debt. He said, how about we take all of that debt and we put it in a backpack, and you put it on your back. So you're going to feel it, the weight of it, but it's all in one place. And you're going to use that as motivation to get to your next place. So instead of you thinking every time you think about your debt, you're not drowning, it's like you're carrying it, you got it, but it's like it's going to be fuel, like a rocket ship, to take you to be motivated to get to the next place, to get it paid off, and to do all the things you need to do. And I just thought that was so, and it totally transformed the way you could physically see her changing when he reframed that for her, and it worked for her.
I saw that episode, and I
Did
saw
you?
another one, yes, where he worked with the young kid who had suicidal tendencies. He was
Yep.
having thoughts, and remember, he sat with him, and I couldn't believe it in that session. Like, he just captivated him, and like, he reframed his
Whole
ideas,
life.
everything,
Mhm.
his whole life.
Yeah.
And the 20-something-year-old, he turns it around, looks at him, and he goes, I got it. I got, like, I mean, that's magnificent, right? That's incredible guidance right there.
Tony Robbins, his story is amazing. He um, left home when he was 15, before he graduated high school, because his mom's boyfriend was beating him up, and um, he was living on the street or something, putting himself through school. But became a janitor at the school so he could put himself through school. And when he started making money, he put all of his money into these cassette tapes back then of motivational stuff. So by the time he was in his 20s, he was working at Fortune 500 companies, helping people, succeed and be positive and live a good life. And so now Tony's in his 60s, and he's had, 40 years plus experience of working with people from all over the world. And a lot of the work is reframing, and there's a lot of different techniques that we use. But, you can look up on YouTube, look up Tony Robbins coaching, and you'll see all these little snippets of things that Eddi and I are talking about. And then, like I said, that was part of my training. We would study the different tools and techniques that he was using. And he's a master at it. I mean, there's a reason why he coined the phrase life coach. And so finding the right person to work with is key. If you can find someone you really connect with, it. I feel like with a therapist, and with and any for you, for all that, for a naturopath, for anybody you have a one-on-one session with, coaching, I feel like personal training, I feel like you should have a big aha and learn something in every session.
I
I think
agree.
I
I
think if you're
agree.
seeing somebody and you're not
Yeah.
having a big aha in every session, a shift of some kind, that you need to find somebody new.
It's funny I say that just to my peeps when they come in. I'm like, okay, when we're halfway through and we've laughed and cried and everything in the session, I'm like, okay, this is going really well, because I gauge it by the aha moments you have, whether it's hope. Oh, now I have some hope, or you had a good belly laugh and you haven't laughed in a while. Like, these little shifts that start to take place when you do a session with somebody. It doesn't matter, the therapist or naturopath or life coaches or whoever it is you're working with. You want those moments where it's changing the perspective. You're changing
Mm-hmm.
your outlook on life. It's changing, like, even with weight loss, when I see people who want to lose weight and they've done every diet and every eating plan, and I'm like, what's your relationship with food? And let's let deprivation go. And and they hear things. They look at me and go, "Oh, I've never heard that before." I'm like, "Okay, great. Then that's our starting point, you know?" But we have to have that open dialogue to have those kind of aha moments or
Mm-hmm.
a shift. I call it a shift. Like it's,
Mm-hmm.
and I can feel it when I'm working with somebody. I know there's like this gaze in the eyes shift, right? There's this, something happens at a cellular level, and even deeper than that. I don't know what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
that's that's reframing.
Mm-hmm.
There's that picture of that person that just walked in. It's not the same picture going out the door.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a double entendre right there. Reframing. That's the picture that they come in with. They're not leaving.
Oh, and that wasn't planned. I
I
didn't. That just
know.
came out.
I know. So when you said it, I totally had that vision in my head that the picture of who they are is different.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And it's beautiful. And that's why, when we do what we do and we love it, we do it because it's the shifting that's happening. And it's happening within ourselves too, because I want to be effective, you know?
Yes, same here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always feel I'm reframing a lot
Mm-hmm.
with how
Mm-hmm.
I approach people these days, what my health, even with menopause, like even we send stuff back and forth to each other, and you sent me a link, and some of the things this person said irritated me a lot. And then I was like, okay, I agree on this fact then. Let's reframe the wording around support for menopause. And instead of calling it bioidentical hormones, let's call it compounding hormones, because she calls it it's the only real hormones are the compounded ones, and they're prescription and they're double blind studied. And I'm like, oh, hang up a minute now, because there's also other things like rhubarb root and black cohosh and a lot of these herbs that are beneficial as well. And we can't throw out, I've been at this 35 years, and I've had women going through menopause in and out through my office for years, and I can't dismiss those things because they
Mm-hmm.
haven't been double blind studied. I
Mm-hmm.
know there's a lot of great stuff with hormone replacement therapy right now. And it's great that we're even having the dialogue about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important. So
Mm-hmm.
women can go, well, what does work for me? Do I need estrogen at this age? And what age should I stop it? And do I need progesterone and testosterone? Well, it depends on your symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're 40, you got to reframe again at 50, reframe again at 60, changing your whole
Mm-hmm.
perspective and your outlook on what your needs and your health picture looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's digging deep again. What is it you need,
Mm-hmm.
and what do you believe in, and what's your research now? What do
Mm-hmm.
you who are you listening to, who's coaching you through this, and
Mm-hmm.
what's sitting with you? Like, we're all different, right? We're
Yeah.
all different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it goes back to what we talk about a lot here, which is inquiry, finding out what is it that you believe, what is it that works for you, and there is like a dialogue, a narrative that happens in all of us in our heads. And even though, especially I talk about how most of the dialogue within your own head is not, it's just like random stuff that you're not even aware of until you sit down and meditate, and then you're like, whoa, overwhelmed
yeah,
with all these thoughts. Where did they come from? But they've always been there. And
yeah,
so to become more self-aware is to notice, what is in your head, what is the self-talk. And a lot of times the self-talk, if you had a megaphone that was blasting out everything that went through your mind, I mean, it would be mortifying for most of us, right? We don't even want to hear
yes,
what goes on in our heads, let alone other people hearing it. So
yes,
reframing how you talk to yourself, how you talk to your doctor, what your requests, noticing how you think about things is
hmm,
really, really important, because s- so as we think, so we become. Like when we talked last week about intentions, and so
yeah,
first something is an intention, and then it's more a thought in your forefront, and then it becomes maybe spoken word or an action, and then it becomes your life. And so noticing how you think about things is important. And there are those of us, like, I feel I was blessed with a very, very positive mind. Like, I know my mom, as we know, my mom was super positive, and I got that gene. And I know that most people aren't as naturally positive as I am. Like, I know that is a gift
Yeah.
because a lot of people have to work hard at being positive or work hard at not being negative once they become aware, because those are all neural pathways.
Mhm.
So I was blessed to have that. That kind of came quite easily to me because I learned from my mom, and whether it was genetics, but it was there. But then if you have a neural pathway of sort of being a little bit more depressed or negative thinking, that's neural pathways that you have to change. And
Yeah.
that takes effort and awareness. And meditation is something that helps create new neural pathways, but it's literally takes thousands of repetitions. So as a life coach, that's what I'm looking at is how do you feel about things? How do you look at things? What is your natural way? And what do we need to shift?
Yeah. I agree. I was like you. I was born positive as well. That was my kind of lane I was in, and many challenges as a child and growing up, and I just was that person that always saw the glass,
Yeah.
full.
Mm-hmm.
And every and when I look back now, like every obstacle seemed like an opportunity for growth. But I those are the words I use now. But back then it's like, oh well, I'll just do it that way then. It wasn't, I didn't know this was growth that was happening. But
Mm-hmm.
it's because that was my innate, it was my nature. I was
Mm-hmm.
just born this way, like Lady Gaga. We're just born that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some people have to work really hard at that.
Mm-hmm.
Their thoughts, their thinking, it's negative. And, we can list off lots of people around us and in our lives who there's always something negative coming out. It's like, whether it's about their car or about their partner or about, and I mean, we can always say something negative and change it and turn it around and make it more positive. I mean, we're not always going to be uh, positive about everything. I mean, I might get ticked off at something the way my partner cleans the kitchen, right? So I'm going to go, he says, wow, how do you make it so messy? And then I'm going, okay, at least he's cooking. And then I'm
Exactly.
going,
That's a
I
good
can clean it
reframe.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good
Yeah.
reframe, right? He's cooking and I can clean this up. This is good. But then there's some people, right? They'll go, why do you do this? And it becomes pattern. Why do you
Yeah.
make such a mess? And they complain all the time. Well, then the person stops cooking. So it's like, oh boy. So there's always a recall on yourself. And even growing up, like when I look at even my sisters and they're coming in and they're in my space and I'm not in their space and I'm going, why are they in my space? But that's just who they are. And my
That is.
reframing piece around it then was, well, I'm just going to get out of here. I'm just going to go run in the woods, grab my bike and take off because it's starting to tick me off. So instead of getting mad or yelling at them, which would be useless anyway,
Yeah.
my sisters,
Mm-hmm.
I hopped on my bike and off I'd go,
Mm-hmm.
or grab my guitar and go write a
Mm-hmm.
song, or, something,
Mm-hmm.
read a book, become the
Mm-hmm.
character in the book. It's we can catch ourselves a lot. I think that's the point of perspective and reframing is,
Mm-hmm.
and that awareness you talk about, right?
Mm-hmm. Being aware of how you look at things.
Mhm.
And it's not about being a Pollyanna, as you said, not being
No,
positive about everything. It's not about being a Pollyanna
no,
at all,
no,
which that just means about looking at everything positive. That's not what we're talking about.
no.
It's about reframing things in a way that will work for you in your life, and that actually starts with seeing life as it is, seeing things as they are, because most people will either see things worse than they are or better than they are. So a negative type person will see things worse than they are. They'll see the glass half full. And a positive person might see things better than they are. They might be a Pollyanna and be, and it's not really about either one. It's about really just seeing things, a situation just as it is. And once you see it as it is that what's the story that you're going to create around it in your head, because we have these stories that we create and this language that we create. But you're not Pavlov's dog. You're not ring the bell, salivate. You are until you become self-aware. So before you become self-aware, you can be a because of your childhood have certain reactions and be Pavlov's dog, and not aware that you have choices of the way you look at things and the way you say things. But as soon as you start to become more self-aware and notice your thinking more, notice your inner narrative, your inner voice, what that's like, then you have a choice of what you decide to focus on, what you decide to believe. Like, you're the president of the committee in your head. You're the
And there's
CEO.
Yes, and there's all these conditionings, right? These belief systems in place that a lot of times we don't sit back and check in and go, do I still believe this?
Mm-hmm.
Is that still a, you know, part of my belief system? Do I still,
Mm-hmm.
is that, or was that something that I just have been accepting and it belongs to somebody else? It's not mine.
Yeah, I mean, how many times you can become aware of that usually when you sit with your family, whether it's in the summertime or Christmas or Thanksgiving, you're sitting with your family, having the conversations that you've probably had a million times with them, and you got the same reactions, your Pavlov's dog got the same reactions, and you have the same like strong points of view. And then if you reflect back afterwards, like, do I even believe that? Or is it just like something that I've been saying for so many years around my family? It's like politics is a good one for that. Like, usually, kids will believe it politically what their parents believed. And then hopefully at some time they start to question that and really start to dig in if they're interested in politics, finding out more about it so that they're not just into something because their parents are.
Yeah.
And we're like
Yes.
that with really everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
A lot of our stuff, as Eddi was saying, is conditioned on us. And it's programmed literally like we're these little clean slates as babies, and
Yeah.
everything gets put on us, programmed onto us. Even what we find is attractive, how we feel about aging, it's all cultural that's put upon us,
Mhm.
that's been fed into this amazing
Yeah.
computer in our heads.
Yeah, even if you ask yourself, you know, your 30-year-old self, your 50-year-old self, your 60-year-old, your 70-year-old self, what is beauty? What is beauty to me? Even that question. What do I see as beautiful now? What is it? When it's Is it a health view? Is it someone who's a runner? Is it um this a supermodel? Is it a gardener? Is it, what is beauty? Is glowing skin? Is it freckly face? Is it sun-kissed? Is it a just a healthy cherub little, you know, glowing, shiny, or what is that to you? What is beauty to you? Someone who's really healthy, you know, someone who's smoking, coming at you with no teeth, and no, right? I mean, it's what is that? What Everything we redefine, we reframe, even the idea of aging. Do we know even about when somebody is using ageism, right? Slamming, oh, they can't do that. They're that old. We're reframing it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the language around how old someone should be to do that or to still work, and we hear it all the time. Are you retired? Are you going to retire? It's almost like, well, no, I enjoy what I do. So, like, oh, you have to work? I'm like, well, I like to. I don't even call it work. It's like I like what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a
So,
certain language around that people, and they're not even aware that they have that language. Like a lot of stuff that you just
exactly.
said, a lot of people wouldn't even be aware that they're talking in conditioned language that it's like a robot.
Yes.
Are you going to retire? That's like a question we have culturally because that's just what you say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like assuming you're 60 or 65 and or 55 and you have a pension. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, not everybody has a pension.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Everybody's it's really interesting when we look at what we reframe as we get older. Because I mean, this is what our podcast is, right? WO50 after
Women over
50.
50 embody
Yeah.
wisdom and wellness. We
And
have
what
a
does
lot of,
that even mean? Right?
yeah. Well, what is
Like
wisdom to you? What is wellness to you?
being wise and being over 50 to me is now wise. Maybe when I was 20, being over 50 was old.
It was ancient.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
now it's like, oh no, it's wise. And these are the people I want to talk to. I want to talk to the people that the 70 and 80 and I want to learn from them and what they know about life. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people 80 and 90 who are still stuck in the mindset of when they were 30. And there's those that have really heightened their awareness and have done a lot of reframing with their lives. They even know how to use an iPad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They were afraid of technology and now they're not. And, they reframed it. They're like, oh, well, if it shuts down, it blows up, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people, oh, I can't touch that. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to work computers. No, no, I'm too old for that now. Like, really? Keep learning. Lifelong
Yes.
learners live longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I've
stay
reframed that.
open. Just stay open. And because that's being joyful, is being open and saying yes to things, not shutting down and saying no to everything. And I don't do that. And, as
Yeah.
long as you can anyway, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Reframe your reality, your roles in life, your identity, your just aging, what it means, beauty, health.
Mm-hmm.
What's that mean to you?
I'm thinking
Yeah.
of, since you made that comment about the picture of the person in the frame, I'm thinking about the actual word reframe. And what we're doing is we're taking the truth of something. So the truth is, a person walks in the room, opens the door and walks in the room. That's the truth. That's the picture. And then the frame around it is, the person looked angry when they walked in the room and stormed in. That's the frame. Or the person energetically walked into the room and was fast, that's a different frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very cool. It's all
Yeah.
very cool. We get
Hmm.
to we get to kind of reinvent and redefine and reframe and
Yeah. We're little creators. We are little
mm,
creators. Like we are creating our life the way,
yep.
every day you create your day.
Hmm.
You don't, your day can go multiple different ways. Even when you decide how to drive to the store or to work, or we're creating it
Hmm.
every day, so do it with intention, conscious awareness.
Hmm.
you know
Yeah. It's beautiful.
that was kind of fun. That kind of went in a few different directions
It
that I
did, but
didn't
it's
expect.
well, we never know
We
how
don't
each of our thoughts are gonna go, right? It's like,
we
oh,
don't talk about it really much ahead of time. We talk about
no,
the theme
yep,
and the title, we talk about ahead of time, but we don't talk about like the content or what direction. Because and most people are surprised when they're like, "You mean you don't kind of write out a script?" And I'm like, "No,
no, gosh, no. This
no,
is unscripted, and I love that you.
unscript."
This is unscripted. There is no script. I
Mm.
love that you mentioned Tony Robbins because all those years of all those courses you did with him, and I mean, I would talk to you all the time and get the cliff notes, and it was really impressionable for me. Like it really
Mm.
helped um, kind of change some of the language in my life too with what I was doing up here with people because it's beautiful stuff.
Oh yeah, oh
The
yeah.
we've met some amazing mentors um, so far in our lives, and I love it when people say to me, you've been such a great mentor to me. And I remember mentor meant old, and mentor does not mean old. And when someone says you're a mentor, I'm like, oh, this is so great. I love
Yes.
that I'm doing this now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because once you get to a certain point in your life and you have all this knowledge to share, it's so beautiful. Like I love to share what I know. We've both been like that our whole lives. Yeah. And here we are again, another podcast where we share
Yes.
more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were already on the phone, I think, for like 2 hours before we even started recording this one. So
We were just sharing.
we had a lot to catch up on.
Oh, we did. I was decompressing some things, and we're just sharing, doing our friendship thing, which
Yes.
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun, Eddi. Thank you.
It was. Thank you, and thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate y'all. I mean, we're here just, doing what we do anyway, and the fact that we can record it and there's people that are getting something out of it, it really means a lot to us. So, I hope you all have just a beautiful, beautiful day or evening wherever you are at, and that you learned something about reframing and are going to use it.
Same. Have a great day.